But we also want to start with some local public safety news, as today marks 60 days since the tragic stabbing of Irina Zarutska on Charlotte's light rail. Later this morning at 11 o'clock in uptown Charlotte at the Government Center, local Republican leaders are going to hold a press conference for what they're calling a public safety crisis. South Carolina Representative Ralph Norman recently attended a congressional field hearing also in uptown Charlotte earlier this month, hearing directly from families of violent crime victims. Congressman, thanks for joining us here this morning on Live Impact News.
Glad to be with you, Jane.
So let's start with, you're obviously familiar with the story of Ms. Zarutska's death on Charlotte's light rail, and you went to this field hearing in Charlotte not too long ago, hearing from families of violent crimes. What was your takeaway from that hearing?
Jane, my takeaway was the situation we have judges who are turning criminals loose. In the case, of the young girl from Ukraine who was brutally murdered, the person that killed her had been arrested 40 times, 25 convictions, I heard. In the case of Logan Federico, the father was there, gave an emotional plea for what should not have been a murder. The only thing that his daughter did wrong was to be at the wrong place at the right time. Bottom line, we got to have some changes in the way that our judges are cutting criminals loose, and they're putting all of the rest of the residents and the citizens of North and South Carolina at risk. We're going to start calling attention to it.
Yeah, you actually issued a statement on one of Mecklenburg County's judges, a decision to keep one of the accused accomplices of Mary Collins' murder, America Deal. And you also heard from the grandmother of Mary Collins at that same hearing not too long ago, that judge let Deal out on bond. She's now back in York County. Your reaction to that decision, obviously not a good one.
No, it's unexcusable. And David Strickland, who's a judge for the 26th District of the Superior Court in North Carolina, did an unconscionable thing of not revoking the bond. America Deal was played a part in the stabbing and the death of a disabled girl, and it's heartbreaking. The fact that she is out on bond, violated her ankle bracelet, which the company that provides the bracelet said that she either took it off or let the batteries go. The bottom line, she's walking free in York County. I alerted Sheriff Breeden to the fact of where she is, and it's amazing that this judge, Judge Strickland, is doing this. It's not fair to the family, and it certainly does not send a message of criminals who should be. When you violate your bond, you go to jail, and that's just not happening now.
Yeah, you calling this liberal, soft on crime policy. Is this a partisan issue, or is there bipartisan concern about bond reform?
This is not a Democrat-Republican issue. It's not an issue of conservative versus liberalism. This is a matter of safety. This is a matter of having a system that does not cut criminals loose. If you do a crime in Mecklenburg County, all this is sending a message to all the other criminals: do what you want, and you'll be walking the streets. That's not what we elected judges for. That's not should be part of our system. And we got to change it. We got to get rid of the judges who are doing this. And we're going to do it in South Carolina in the future.
Well, public safety issues not just happening in North Carolina. You've been raising alarms in South Carolina as well, mentioning Logan Federico and her father also speaking very outspoken about what is happening there. You also sent a letter to SLED, the chief there, Mark Keel, about the murder of Logan Federico and gaps in the criminal record of her killer. Have you received a response from that?
We did from Chief Keel, and the issue was there were no fingerprints. And in talking to Chief Keel, I mean, this has been going on for quite a while, still going on. My message to Chief Keel is, it's all of our responsibility to make sure that basic things like fingerprints, like taking a swab analysis for DNA, which is kind of a hit and miss, should not be a hit and miss. You talk about people's dead daughters, and it's just our family could be next as far as suffering under something like this. Everybody's family. So he responded, and I think his position was we were attacking SLED. I wasn't attacking SLED. I was just attacking the system that allowed for something like fingerprints not being taken, nor the swab test. He's got a responsibility. I've got a responsibility. The sheriffs have a responsibility to make sure this is done. And to that end, we will not give up, and we'll keep bringing this up because it's that important.
Tough on crime. Your policy obviously aligning closely with President Trump's administration. That's been recognized recently, and ranking really among the congressional delegation, one of the highest for alignment with the president's policies. What does that score mean to you?
Well, the score means that criminals, if you do a crime, you will, as they say, do the time. And what President Trump is pushing is safety. I mean, that's a core function of government. And the fact that you've got elected judges who are violating that, they need to be held accountable. And as I told a police department in Fort Mill yesterday, that we need to know the repeat criminals that they keep arresting that are walking the streets the very day that they're arrested. We need to know the judges that are doing this, and I'm going to call them out. And I think others will join me because it's common sense. And what about the victims' rights? What about the victims' rights that's being abandoned? We got to call it out. We got to correct it, and not just talk about it.
Yeah, not only Republicans and yourself have expressed concern, but Democrats as well about violent crime. Have you found any common ground working across the aisle with your colleagues there about these public safety issues and crime in general?
Jane, I was very disappointed in the hearing on October 10th that, you had, those who spoke out, Steve Federico and others. And the only thing the Democrats offered was statistics on crime that has been reduced in Mecklenburg County. Well, the father of Logan Federico could care less about statistics. He wants to see how you're going to correct it so that it doesn't happen to someone else's daughter or someone else's wife. So, no, I've been disappointed, and it shouldn't be a partisan issue, but I know from the hearing, for those who attended it, I did not like what I heard, nor did the families of the deceased victims like it.
Well, one area clearly no bipartisan agreement right now is these budget negotiations, as we are now on day 22 of the shutdown. Your assessment of where the negotiations stand right now?
Jay, we had a call at 7:30 this morning for leaders all over the country. I'm a member of the Freedom Caucus, and we're very active on this, have been active on the budget. Here's what your listeners need to know. This is all about hijacking the government into a shutdown because you've got a faction of the Democrats led by Chuck Schumer who is scared of a primary by AOC. And, he's putting his own interest above the interest of the American people. $1.5 trillion new spending of money we don't have. There is nothing to negotiate until they sign the CR, the continuing resolution, which the Democrats signed 13 times under Joe Biden. All you need to know is $1.5 trillion of new spending, not going to happen on our watch. The fact that their hatred of Donald Trump, who is doing so much for this country to bring law and order, fiscal sanity, things that had gone way haywire under Joe Biden. This is the hill to die on, and we will sit until they change their mind, get the invoke cloture in the Senate, and let us go to work, back to work. But until then, there's nothing to discuss.
Yeah, and until then, unfortunately, Representative Norman, ordinary Americans who have nothing to do with the political fight, they're being impacted, right? Have you heard from your constituents, who, especially federal workers, that might be affected here, and what are they saying on the services and needs that they have in the meantime?
Well, yes, it's a concern, and as it goes on, as it goes on, like next week will be a very pivotal week because it's going to hit home to so many Americans who are on the federal government payroll who are not going to get paid. President Trump has managed to pay through some funds that were unallocated the military. Uh, the 15th was a big day. The funds were paid for the military. And the 31st will be another big day because federal workers will not be getting their money. And that'll be the next date that is missed to get a payment. But all that to say is this is totally the Democrats who are holding it up. If we give in on this, then the government will be hijacked from here on out. And because there will probably be another continuing resolution. And the fact that November 21st is a date that is set for this resolution is the day we get closer, just it leaves us little options but to go into another one because you won't have the time to pass the remaining appropriation bills and to consider it.
Assuming we get past this shutdown at some point, your work then and top priorities for the remainder of the congressional session?
Correct. We will have the committees will go back to work. It'll probably go to a conference committee, decide, and the conferees that the Senate has have not been named yet anyway. So there's nothing to go back to now. But if and when the government opens back up, the committees will get back in gear. The numbers discussed, the budget numbers will be again that's in the CR will be we have a conference committee to officially vote on it and probably do an extension, I would guess, toward January, February, because the time is running out now for this session.
South Carolina Representative Ralph Norman, thank you very much for joining me this morning. Appreciate the conversation.
My privilege. Thank you.